Hello everyone, as GPU market is continuing to offer a lot of choices in each series, we have to understand which one we have to choose based on the quality of that cards. So we already did this series for 4070, 4070 Ti, 4080, now it's time to do for 4090. Maybe after it I will switch to the AMD side or we'll go down to 4060s, let's see. So the first card we have here is the Asus Strix 4090. The price is almost $2,000, which is very high, especially compared to the other cards. Later on we'll see that this card doesn't offer that much of a difference to justify this kind of higher price. The memory, the GPU and the memory has similar temperatures, which is very good, and for the memory anything below 80 degrees I consider to be good temperatures. Normalized temperature is also very good. The noise level is very quiet. We can see the fans using the ball bearing. It has 600 watts power limit, so you can overclock it pretty high if you go to that route. Now let's have a look at the component cooling. Again, I want to emphasize that this column is not the components quality, but it's the component cooling. So component quality, I am talking in this part, which is the VRM chips quality based on the failure rate. But this one is that components cooling. So the components cooling, let's have a look. So here we can see that it has a direct contact with the heatsink. Now let's have a more detailed inspection. So we'll do it this way. And this way. So here we can see the VRM chips has a direct contact here. The memory obviously has a direct contact. This VRM chips has a direct contact. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 VRM chips has direct contact, but all VRM chokes being cooled through the air here. Here there is no air, so obviously these chokes will run much hotter, and also these ones, which is responsible for the memory, will run much hotter. But again, that's not the critical flow, as they are designed to run hot, but at least the VRM chips, which usually causing the failures, they have a direct contact. So that's why it's getting the good rating. And here we can see that the VRM chips is being used as an MPS, which has the lowest failure rate based on the service center, which is repairing these cards already more than 10 years. So I'm relying on their experience when making my recommendations. And here we can see that there is no fuse neither on the PCI lines, neither on the power connector side. So that's the one downside for this card. The rest is more or less okay. So now let's have a look at the second card, which is the water-cooled 4090 from Asus Matrix Platinum. This is like insane price, $3,200. I cannot justify paying that much of money for the card unless like you have a lot of money and don't care about the price. Again, we can see that the temperatures obviously is much lower. The memory is a little bit higher. Normalized is 54. Again, it's perfect. I don't have any information about the fans bearing. If they are ball bearings or not. The noise is higher than the Strix. And again, using 24 phases, same components, same power limit. But one interesting thing I will show you here. Now let's have a look. On the cooling side. So here and here. What we can see here, this VRM chips has a direct contact. In this case, compared to the OC, all chokes has a direct contact. The memory has direct contact, and this side has both the VRM chips and the VRM chokes has a direct contact. But 1, 2, 3, 4. All these 4 VRM chips has no contact with the heatsink. And there is no air going on here, as this is the liquid cooled, all air. Here we can see there is no air. There is no fans, there is nothing here. It's just a closed metal piece. So all air is on the radiator. As the fans is there, so all air movement is on the radiator and the card. At least I cannot see any air coming to this card. So all these 4 chips missing the contact with the plate. And obviously the VRM chokes also missing the contact. Here we can see that these all 4s are responsible for the memory. And again, yes, memory consumes less power than the GPU, but again, from my previous examples of testing the 47 from MSI Gaming Geeks, testing the EVGA 3090, 3080, they showed that these VRM chips, even though they are responsible for the memory, they still get almost similar temperatures as these ones. So in this case, I cannot say what's the temperatures on these ones, these 4, but as they definitely don't have a direct contact with this base plate, let's say, I cannot recommend it for buying. So it's getting the bad rating for the component cooling. Yes, all 4 VRM chips, similar situation. It's like even worse than that MSI Gaming X, because that one at least has a air which was blown to that VRM chip, but this one is like sealed. There is no air blowing on the VRM chips, and they are like being under that copper shield, and who knows how hot they can run, especially in long gaming sessions. So you paying a lot of money, you getting very bad component cooling, you getting noisy operation, just for what, like 8-9 degree of the difference in the temperatures, when 62 is completely fine. And this is even with lower noise level. So if you go to the 37, I'm pretty sure this 62 will come down maybe like 55, 57, so it will be much closer, but nobody cares about that difference. You will be caring about the noise here. And also the memory here is hotter. So I don't see any reason buying this card. Even if it was the same price, I will go with the Strix one. It's so simple. The phase is same. There is no fuse on either side of the card. So it's completely, it can be said the same card, just with the water cooling and with higher price. So the next card is the colorful 4090 Vulcan OC. This card, so far the cheapest one, coming at the MSRP price 1600. It's a nice looking card. Again, the temperatures is pretty fine. The normalized temps is much closer to the Strix one. We don't have information about fan type. The noise a little bit higher than the Strix one, but it's like, again, the normalized temperatures, which is 35 dB, it's almost equal. So we can go and tune it in MSI Afterburner to have even lower noise level if you like. The power limit is low. I'm not sure if you can change the bias and get the higher power limit, but the VRM chips, it's using the Alpha Omega one, which has the highest failure rate among the all VRM chips with that service center which I am referring to have been replacing during like past 10 years. So this is one downside. Again, 24 phases, no fuse on either side. Now let's have a look on the component cooling. So here we can see the VRM chips has a direct contact with the heatsink. VRM chokes has a direct contact from this side. Again, VRM chips, VRM chokes, and some extra components also from this side has a direct contact with the heatsink. But we have again memory VRM chips. So here we can see that all these pads, they are for the chocks. How I know that? You can just look at this hole, look here and here. So if these ones were touching the VRM chips, it should be here, below the holes, because all holes here and VRM chips is or below or above. So again, this is top. There is no pads here. It's bottom. There is no pads here. And all these pads are on the angle. And on the angle from the holes is the VRM chokes, not the VRM chips. So again, this one is getting bad rating. It has similar issue as the liquid cooled Asus card, but again, compared to the Asus one, at least this one has air going here, like there is some movement. So this one at least has more chance some air movement touching and cooling these VRM chips, as they are close to the sides of the PCB, and some air going in the case can cool them down compared to the liquid cooled Asus one, like there is no fence above the PCB. The only air moving can be in the case from the case fans. So if we'll compare this one, at least it's almost half price of the Asus one. The only downside, like as I said, compared to the Asus one, is this VRM chip quality, but the rest is pretty normal. It's a good card, just the bad cooling. If you can put some extra fans in your case and or like above that one, maybe somehow it will cool down that VRM chips. But again, let's see if we have some better alternatives in terms of other manufacturers. So from these all cards, at least I cannot recommend these two. The Strix is more or less okay. So the next one is the Gigabyte Gaming OC. It's $100 more than the colorful, has similar temps, a little bit noisier, as we can see, especially in the noise normalized temps. It's like 2 degrees hotter, but nothing bad in that one. Has less phases compared to the previous cards, but again, it's nothing to worry about it. And here we can see it has a fuse on the PCI Express lane, so if your card will be failed, it will prevent your motherboard getting some damage, which is nice. And the VRM chips is SiC, which has less lower failure rate compared to the Alpha Omega ones, so which is a plus. And the power limit is 600, which is really good for the overclockers. Now let's have a look at the component cooling. So here we can see that all VRM chips, chokes, some other components, they all has a direct contact with the heatsink from both sides, from this side, from this side. Now let's have a look at these 4 VRM chips, which is responsible for the memory. Here we can see what I was telling you on the colorful example. It's the similar. We see the hole above, below the holes. We can see these thermal pads, which is responsible for cooling the VRM chips here. And besides that, also Gigabyte did a really good job and also cooled the VRM chokes here, and cooled also some extra components which doesn't need that direct contact, but still they put all thermal pads, so everything is touching the heatsink, and that's why it's getting the very good component cooling rating from my side. So from these all 4 cards, at least this is the best card which I can recommend. It costs less, it has better component cooling, a little bit noisier, but again that you can adjust in the MSI Afterburner, and a little bit lower quality VRM components and 4 less phases compared to the Asus card. So if you want to save $300 for 4 less phases and a little bit lower quality, but also get the fuse on the PCI lane, that's a really good alternative. Now let's have a look the Founders Edition one, which is the cheapest card, and have a look on the temperatures. It says highest temperature from all cards previously reviewed, 72 degrees on the memory. Again, nothing crucial. We can see that using the top tier VRM chips MPS, which is really good, 20 phases again. So if a heavy card NVIDIA calculated the 20 phases is completely fine for this card, then we cannot blame the Gigabyte for doing the same thing. But no fuses on either side. And one thing here, we can see that the normalized temperature is a 66, but I'm sure that the temperature here will be different. Yeah, and this one doesn't have, we have to check the other cards normalized graph to find the FE version and then see what's different from my findings. So yeah, so here we can see that they put it the FE normalized temperature 72, but it cannot be 72 just for one reason. If they have a 66 here, we can see it's a 66 here, and they put the noise level 35.1 and normalized is at 35. Just 0.1 cannot make that difference, like 6 degree, like 0.1 less noise, 0.1 cannot make 6 degree the card run like 6 degree hotter. So there is 2 options, or the temperature here is incorrect, or temperature here is incorrect. So as I have to guess, I will take the temperature in the normalized is incorrect, as at least here they are measuring they are testing and they are getting these temperatures and paying more attention, as this is the main graph. So I put the same temperature for the normalized results. And also all other cards are running cooler. So this one can, if it's like 6 degrees hotter than the Gigabyte, it's quite normal, and then the noise level is just like 2 dBA lower. So now let's have a look at the component cooling quality. Yeah. So what we have here is this part. Yeah. Again, here we can see VRM chips has a direct contact from both sides. No direct contact for the VRM chokes. Maybe this, I don't know what this gray ones, maybe the chokes is laying and touching this part, but again, like, this is not a pad. It can be some other materials. But again, that's not the most important part. So the important part here, we can see again all 4 VRM chokes, all 4. So all 4 VRM chokes here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one, even there is no choke here, but they put some I don't know, again, maybe it's a rubber to equalize the surface. But again, like, at least all here, all 3 VRM chokes has a direct contact, VRM chips has a direct contact, and the choke is missing. So there is no direct contact for the chokes, and so all these chokes that doesn't have a direct contact, and this one doesn't have a direct contact. So that's why this card is getting a good rating. Other than that, again, there is no fuses, and all VRM chips has a direct contact. So this card is a really good alternative to the gaming OC. So if you want to buy something more compact and your case doesn't have a space for 340mm long card, then this one can be really good alternative. And it's like, will save you at least $100. But again, the temperature is a little bit higher, but again, nothing to worry about it. Even for the memory, as I said, anything below 80 is considered to be good. The next card, let's have a look at the liquid cooled MSI and compare it to the liquid cooled Asus. Especially the price for this one is like way cheaper than the Asus is asking. Way cheaper. So the temperatures is second coolest, right after the Asus card, but the noise level is very low. So if we'll go to 37.5, I'm sure that this card can reach these temperatures or even beat the Asus card. And again, the memory is running cooler. Again, there is an issue with noise normalized temps, which we constantly finding. Here we can see it says 58, but 58 is the normal temperature for 32.2 dB. So if we will increase the fan speed by 3 dB, the temperature shouldn't stay the same 58. It should go down 1, 2, 3 degrees. It should go down at least. So that's why I assumed it should be around like 56, and I put this asterisk here that it's my calculations. So it will be around 56. It can be even lower, but again, like, it it cannot stay 58 the same. Like we increasing the fan speed by 3 dB and keeping that same temperature, it's less realistic. And again, this one has the highest quantity of phases. It used 26 and it used MPS, and this one has a fuse on a 12-pin power socket, which will save your card if something goes bad. Like not the card, but some main components, like it can save your GPU die if some of the VRM chips fails. So this is really good addition. And then if we'll take all this, we have only one thing to compare, is the component cooling. Now let's see how they solve this issue compared to the Asus one. So here we can see VRM chips, VRM chokes from both sides has a direct contact, which is really good. And here we can see how they did it. It's pretty simple. They just put in the thermal pads for all these VRM chips and even the VRM chokes to have a direct contact with the heatsink. Plus, here we can see they have a fan. So fan is blowing on these thin radiators, let's say, moving some air, cooling this base plate, which is connecting to the copper one. So copper is connected to this metal plate and it's being cooled with this fan. So we can say that some temperature is being transferred from the copper to this metal and some temperature is being cooled by these fins from this fan. And that's why this one is getting good rating. And it's not getting the very good because of one thing. Because of this metal plate. It's not the main copper plate. It's the metal piece which is connected to the main copper plate, which is being cooled by the water. That's why it's getting good rating, not very good rating. But again, it's better than the Asus one, which doesn't have even a fan cooling that part. I cannot see, no fan here. So all this is like closed space, no air is moving. So if you want a liquid cooled, definitely buy this one. It will run cooler, it will be less noisy, it will have more room for overclocking, it has a fuse, just you need to modify the BIOS maybe to increase the power targets, and that's it. So this is really good alternative for the liquid one, and it doesn't cost that much. It's even less than the Strix one. So even compared to the Strix one, I will buy this one. Now let's see the air-cooled MSI card, which is the Supreme X, just the air-cooled. It costs $50 less. I'm pretty sure it's the same card, same PCB, just air cooler instead of liquid. Here we can see again 26 phases, MPS, the fuse on a 12-volt rail, just a 10 watt less power limit, a little bit heavier, and they modified the BIOS to be much quieter card, and due to the fact that it's spins its cooler much slower, the temperatures is higher. And again, nothing. I will do the same. Like I will keep these temperatures just to have very low noise. So this is like, can be said like my dream configuration. 76, I even will go to 80. This one will go to mid 70s. Just not to listen the card during the gaming, the fans of the card. Let's have a look on the component cooling. So they did it here. So they put the VRM chips direct contact here, VRM chokes direct contact here, what they did here. Oh man. So here we can see they put the VRM chokes direct contact here for the heatsink, but they didn't have a space to put the thermal pad for the VRM chips. So they added this piece of metal, a similar kind of solution as the liquid one, and then put the direct contact for the VRM chips on this metal piece. And as this metal piece is being connected with the main heatsink, is not as efficient as, for example, this VRM chip cooling, which has a direct contact. And also here we can see that all VRM chips and VRM chokes responsible for the memory has a direct contact. And that's why this one I will put OK rating, not the good one compared to the liquid one, because the liquid one, it has fan cooling this metal piece. Here, it has a fan cooling this metal piece, just one dedicated fan. Plus, it's connected to the liquid cooled copper plate, when this one is just a vapor chamber connection and doesn't have so low temperatures than the liquid one. So I'm putting the OK rating, but again, OK is OK. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just good enough to recommend this card to anybody who wanna quiet operation, good components, fuse, compact design compared to the Strix one, similar length to the gaming OC, but again, like there is a case when these 4mm can make a huge difference. When this one cannot fit, this one you will fit. So again, and this one at least costs the same price as the gaming OC. Now let's move on and see what the palette is offering. So the GameRock OC, it costs more than the MSI Supreme X at current market prices and more than the Gigabyte. It's run comparably cool to the MSI, but it's here you can see it's noisy. And again, this is the case where we can see this 35. So when it's 35, then these two should be equal. When here it wasn't equal, so I adjusted. So here it's equal from Tech Power Up website. I didn't do anything. The temperature is okay. The card a little bit shorter, but this one has the least quantity of faces, just a 16. And this one, I don't know, if you are hardcore overclocker, maybe this one will not be suitable for you. And this has lower power limit, Again, I don't know power limits can be adjusted with by flashing the BIOSes or not, but like the phases, it's you cannot re-enable them if they are not here. So this one 6s, no fuses, using NCP, which is again better than the Alpha Omega ones. And now let's have a look on the component cooling. This is the last part when we can say if we can recommend this card or not. So what we have here we have direct contact for the VRM chokes, VRM chokes. For all these VRM chokes we have a direct contact again near the holes. The only direct contact is missing for these VRM chips, but again here at least it's open area, so the fans will be blowing on the VRM chips, and only these one VRM chips are trapped under the heatsink. But again, some air will be moving around, which will be cooling these VRM chokes. So that's why this one is getting good rating, as all components has a direct contact and only memory VRM chokes is missing, which again is not so crucial. So being almost 1800, I cannot recommend this card over the Supreme X or the Gaming OC or even above the FE, so we're skipping this one. And the last one is a Zotac. It costs less compared to Supreme X or Gaming OC. It costs a little bit more than FE, which was a good card. The noise level is high and temperature is high, especially for the memory, but again nothing crucial. And here, if we'll normalize the temps, it will be even higher. So this is the hottest card among all the cards which we reviewed today, and this card is using the Alpha Omega VRM chips as the colorful, which is not good. 24 phases, lower power limit. Let's double check that one. Yeah, 495. No fuses, pretty long card, and the quality of component cooling, I see it's not good already. So let's see in details. So here we can see VRM chips from this side, VRM chokes, it has direct contact. This part. So here there is no thermal pad, but I can see on the picture here it's there. So maybe it fall off. But here we can see that even though the all VRM chips on both sides has direct contact from here, they have this place to put the thermal pads for these VRM chips, but they didn't put. So the card was designed to put the VRM chips cooling on the pads, and even here they have a space for the chucks, but here the chucks is missing the pads for all four, but these two VRM chips has a contact with the pads, these two doesn't have a contact. So I assume it's a quality issue, so It's not the card design issue, but again, like when you are buying in the box, you cannot open then tear down the card or inspect it from the side to see if the pads are in place or they are missing. That's why I put the bad rating but with the asterisk, so it's not like bad from the design standpoint but the bad from the quality control, let's say. So the people in the factory, they just didn't bother to put the thermal pads here, and maybe by the design they have also put the thermal pads for the chokes. So if they put like 6 more thermal pads on this area, it will make this card from bad to very good, because it will have direct contact for all VRM chips, VRM chokes with the heatsink. But as I cannot see here, I cannot recommend this card, but again I cannot equal this card with the card which wasn't designed from the factory to have a direct contact. This one was designed from the factory. So now let's summarize and see what's our recommendation, and let me know your thoughts if you are agree with my recommendations or not, and also if you have links with more cards to inspect, please send it to me so I can have a look at it. So for 1600, if your budget is the 1600, I definitely will recommend the FE, because it doesn't have any major flaws. It's a very good card. The noise, you can go even lower and increase the temps. And compared to the colorful, I cannot say. 2 red parts, this one doesn't have any red. So 1600, this one is my recommendation. If you wanna something bigger and something more expensive, we'll go 1 tier above. Again, the red ones I cannot recommend. Strix I cannot recommend, to be more expensive than the others. Colorful is also not in the recommendation. So what we are having left is a Gigabyte, 2 MSIs, and the Gaming Rock. And again, the Zotac could be in that part, but again I cannot recommend it for this one. So it says Alpha Omega ones. So this one. Now Game Rock, it costs the most out of that 4. It has less phases, so why buy this one? So we're skipping this one. So from 3 remaining, I can say I probably will go with this one instead of Gaming OC, because this one has more phases. This one has a fuse on 12 volt instead of PCI Express. And usually when the card fails, like this one can save you more money than this fuse here. It's very rarely that the failure of the card also damage the motherboard, but this fuse can save your GPU from being completely non-repairable and make it repairable. And especially for this, when like your motherboard will cost you maybe $200, your GPU costs like $1,700. So this one is more important. Just the power limit, but again, I'm not the overclocker guy. Like I used to do overclocking, now I do more undervolting to have quiet operation. This one runs the quietest out of the box, so I don't need to go to the MSI afterburner. So it's really good card. And again, the liquid cooled, yes, if you want to pay $50 more, have a little bit lower temperatures, a little bit noisy, and also again, like you have to have extra space for that radiator. Maybe you have a radiator already for your CPU, then you have to have extra space for this one. But if you have that space, sure, you can buy this one instead of just a regular air cooled ones. Just pay $50 more, get a better card. But as that radiator is not so convenient and not everybody have that, so I'm skipping this one. And then Gigabyte, again, I'm saying it has very good component cooling, but again, very good and okay is not that much of a big difference. And it's run out of box louder, so I have to configure it, and the temperatures will be similar to these ones. It has less phases and it has less quality VRM chips than this one, just a little bit more power limit. So my recommendations, staying like this. Feel free to choose whatever you want to make this file modified as you want. I mean, the colors, it will be available under the link in the description, so you can download and have it inspected, also the other cards. So this one will be updated continually. So that's it for today's video. I have a big hope that somebody who is in the market for $40.90 will find this video and it will help to make a decision, and at least not to pay this much of money to buy a card which has a flow from the factory and colorful. And this one, maybe the Zotac would notice increased quality control to not have these issues being passed to the end users. So thank you and see you in the next one.